From Kuzbass to the US, the strangest miners' finds found underground. These items have long been called irrelevant artifacts, strange things found in chunks of rock. They are clearly not of their time. Irrelevant artifacts in Russia. A curious find was recently reported by a resident of Vladivostok. He stoked his furnace with coal from the coal mines of the Khakassia town of Chernogorsk. Inside one of the pieces of coal, he found a strange object consisting of aluminum with an admixture of 2.4 magnesium. The length of the find is 7.5 centimeters. Some call the artifact found a rail. Others call it a part of an unknown mechanism. It has evenly spaced protrusions and definitely could not be formed by itself. People learned how to smelt alloys of aluminum only in the 20th century. Now they are used in aircraft and shipbuilding. Such an object could not have fallen into a mine by itself, and it certainly could not appear inside a fragment of coal, the age of which scientists estimate at least 300 million years. Khakassia coal was formed at the very end of the Carboniferous period. The duraluminous piece turned out to be 50 million years older than all the tyrannosaurs. Valery Devuz-Hilny, a researcher from Dalmagorsk who made a detailed study of the find, found evidence that aluminum had spent millions of years inside the coal seam. Carbon atoms were found on the surface of the rail. Over the years, due to the presence of salty water, which Khakassia is famous for, there used to be a sea there. Aluminum corroded and particles of hard coal penetrated inside the piece. Interested in the artifact, Devuz-Hilny continued his search and soon came across another curious object. When the builders of the bridge to Russky Island were drilling holes for supports at the bottom of the bay, metal shavings consisting of cerium, lanthanum, and chromium were found in the cores. All this was found in sandstones of the Permian period, which is 240 million years old. The shavings were examined at the Institute of Nuclear Physics in Gachina and came to the conclusion that Devuz-Hilny found fragments or parts of artificially created alloys. Logically explain how the alloys could get into the sands of the Permian period, the scientists could not, or didn't want to. In 2008, an interesting object was found by workers in one of the mines of the city of Donetsk, Rostov region. The artifact, a round object in the form of a wheel, was found at a depth of 900 meters in the roof of the mine. Since the rock in this place is not very strong, the find remained in the mine. No one dared to hollow it out. However, the miners took a picture of it, and the picture was spread all over the world. What it is and what it consists of is unknown. It looks like a cart or chariot wheel, but who knows? Maybe there is a UFO hatch over the miners' heads. In the quarries of Sevastopol and the limestone blocks at a depth of 100 meters were found iron artifacts that resemble flattened arrowheads. The age of the rock in which they were found is 70 million years old. Irrelevant artifacts underground. But these are recent finds. Such artifacts have been found abroad with enviable consistency since the 19th century. In 1845, for example, an iron nail was found in a limestone quarry in Scotland. In 1889, the drillers of Idaho from a depth of 90 meters have raised a tiny statue of a woman measuring 4 centimeters. The age of the rocks in which it was located estimated at 2 million years. In 1891, a U.S. newspaper ran a story about miners finding a 25-centimeter long gold chain inside a huge block of coal. Let's move on to the 20th century. In 1912 in Oklahoma, in a power plant, an iron cup fell out of a block of coal and there was a clear trace of it inside the coal. In 1928, a concrete wall made of regular blocks was found here by miners at depth. The mine was allegedly closed immediately and the miners were transferred to other places. In 1934, the famous London hammer was found. It was found by husband and wife Max and Emma Hahn near Red Creek near London, Texas. The hammer, encased in rock with a wooden handle, was made in the second half of the 19th century. Geologists determined the age of the rock in which it was imprisoned to be 485 million years. In 1974, in one of the sand pits of Romania was found another aluminum part, similar to the support of the landing leg of the Apollo spacecraft. There are interesting finds on the ground as well. In 1922, in Nevada, archaeologist John Reed found a boot print on a rock with traces of thread along the edge of the rant. The rock on which it was imprinted was 5 million years old and belonged to the Triassic period. And amateur paleontologist William Meister in 1968 found the same footprint in a boot near Antelope Spring, Utah. Curiously, the print was not on the surface, but inside the piece of shale that Meister had cracked. Next to the boot print, there was also a trilobite print inside. Geologists dated the piece of rock to the Cambrian period, which lasted from 541 million years ago to 485 million years ago. Theories and hypotheses. The scientific community prefers to turn a blind eye to these artifacts, explaining their similarity to anything or by chance. But it is worth admitting, we still do not know something about the past of the planet. The traditional science considers that the person has appeared on the Earth recently, only 40,000 years ago. For example, in Russia, the most ancient stops of people on the river Yanja in Yakutia and the river Belaya in Priangari have age of 28, 38, 32,000 years. About 20,000 years ago, people could reach America and populated the continent. This a priori means that all artifacts older than this age are beyond the scope of science. But in the 1960s, archaeologists Harold Maldy, Steen McIntyre, and scientist Rolf Frickel of the University of Washington excavated at Hueyatlaco near Mexico City and found complex stone tools made by Cro-Magnon men, that is, people who looked just like you and me. The fact that other human civilizations already existed on Earth is confirmed not only by researchers and supporters of alternative history, a catastrophe of planetary scale. This is also evidenced by the Sphinx, the sides of which were heavily damaged by water. Geologists who have seen the Sphinx compare its sides to the shores of the sea, which have been treated by water for years. The fact that fossilized sea urchins were found under its paws is also evidence of the Sphinx's prepotency. Obviously, the Sphinx was erected when North Africa was still land, and later it was flooded by water. The water dried up over time and the sand of the ancient sea became desert. Irrelevant artifacts prove. In fact, people are millions of years old. Perhaps they once mastered the melting of metals, aluminum, flew to the stars, and even started a nuclear war. The strange findings are well explained by the theory of geologist and Orthodox priest Konstantin Bufayev. He questions the holy of holies of geology, the science of stratigraphy. Its principle is simple. Older rocks contain more primitive organisms. Of course, there are other explanations for the arrival of modern artifacts in another time, for example, gaps in time and space. It is not without reason that thousands of people disappear in the world every year. Maybe they simply move into the past together with watches, phones, glasses, cups, hammers, and aluminum parts. What do you think about it? Friends, if you want to add something or have other information, let's discuss in the comments. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new interesting videos, and give your like so that other viewers will see this video too. Like it, subscribe to our channel, comment. Many more interesting top films are waiting for you. Enjoy watching.